You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. Chris Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish I could hit those high notes, but after 14 years of singing that intro, finally had to give it up. I was hurting I just, Geddy Lee had that high voice from Rush, and then he didn't after a while. I've kind of reached the Geddy Lee old age voice thing, so I no longer sing that after 14 years or 16 years now, but I think we gave it up a year ago or something. Anyway, enjoy the wonderful Iron Lady. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss. Chris Voss, one of the TikTok and all those crazy places on the internet you can find us. Today, we have an amazing young man on the show with us today. We're going to be talking about his insights and 2 new books that he has coming out soon. One is called The Co-Parenting Secret. It's Not About You, and it's going to be released later this year in 2024. And there is The Curious Leader, Navigating the Power of Asking Questions and Fostering a Culture of Inquiry. And that's expected late fall 2024 as well. I like this idea, The Curious Leader. I kind of do a little bit of curious leading around the office here. Usually the curiosity entails, what the fuck are you doing? Anyway, I'm just kidding. Is that in your book, John?
Yes. I do use the analogy of, the mischievous, curious George in my talks as well.
What are you doing? Or get the fuck out. Anyway, and I'm just doing jokes here, folks. John Bassford is on the show with us today. Welcome to the show, John. How are you?
I'm great. How you doing?
You're an operations professional and entrepreneur driven by your curiosity. Curiosity evidently is your superpower. Do you have a cape for that, John?
Do I have the what?
Do you have a cape for that?
I don't, but I do have a C on my chest.
Okay, do you have do you have a tattoo, or is it just shaved in your chest hair?
I just shave the chest hair and put a C in it every day.
I have an A in my chest because most people call me an asshole. Anyway, so it's your superpower and has driven your personal and professional advancement. But I'm voting for a cape. So after law school, John put this curiosity to work, launching and managing and improvising operations for venture-backed capital startups to global nonprofits with impact. And he loves curiosity. Maybe he was a cat in a previous life. Who knows? Mm-hmm. But he believes in curiosity-driven leadership. Welcome to the show, John, again. Tell us .coms. Where can people find you on the interwebs?
Sure. My consulting firm is www.think-lateral.com. And then you can also go to johnbassford.com as well.
I seriously have a whole rebranding for you in my head right now. Like, I just see you in a cape and leotards and, kind of the whole Batman from the 60s look going on. And curiosity, engage or something. You have to have like something that activates it.
Maybe we'll look at that for the book cover.
Yeah, you got a book cover right there, man. Seriously, you got gold. People are gonna see that and be like, Captain Curiosity. I'm gonna charge you for that one. Anyway, John, give us a 30,000 overview of what you do there at the business you're running.
Sure. The company is Lateral Solutions. When I first started out, I launched operations for some startups, both for-profit and nonprofit, and then stayed on as a fractional COO. Mm-hmm. But what I've transitioned into is coming into organizations, again, for-profit, nonprofit, and analyzing their operations, helping them get curious about their operations so they can grow and scale with data-driven decisions.
I do a lot of organizational evaluations, too. Mostly it's walking to places like, I don't know, the local grocery store and Smith's and going, what the hell is going on here? You kind of notice there's a theme in the callback of the joke where, anyway, it's a callback. Yeah. It's there. You've got 2 books coming out. Give us, in your words, kind of what's inside some of these books.
Sure. So the first one, the one on co-parenting, is more just a project of passion. So I kept being asked by people, how is parenting going with my ex-wife? And I said, it's great. We could write a book. Oh. And so I got tired of saying that and write a book. And we're in final edits right now and probably going to be released in the next month or 2.
Has there been any fighting over the edits? I'm sorry, I just had to.
She's read through it twice, and no major pushbacks on anything.
She'll probably take half the profits. Anyway, Divorce jokes aside, tell us about the other book.
Yeah. So the other one is about, harnessing curiosity as your superpower, really trying to learn how to ask questions, dive into your operations, learn to ask the why, the how, the what, so you can constantly grow and change in your organization.
Yeah, I remember as a kid, this was many centuries ago, when I was hanging out with Joe Biden. I love Joe Biden. But I was hanging out with Joe Biden and Abraham Lincoln, I think. We were sitting around shooting the shit. And I read Anthony Robbins' books. This is Nonsensical People. Don't try and connect the dots. And I think it was Awaken the Giant Within, his second book from Anthony Robbins. And one of his big proponents in there was asking questions, and how the key to the quality of your life is the questions you ask. And I said to him, what the fuck is going on over here? Anyway, no, I'm just kidding. It's a callback joke. But that really helped me in my business, asking questions. Is this the best we can do? Why do we do it this way? There's the old business adage of, you walk into a place and you're like, what you guys are doing is stupid here. Why are you doing it this way? And they go, I don't know. We the guy before me did this way. We've always done it this way. Why ask questions? We just kind of did what everyone did. And you're like, there's a better way if you just ask better questions. What do you think about that?
100%. I started my career in the nonprofit association space, and it probably isn't an industry that's more aligned with just doing things the way they've always done it and not asking why. They have people with long tenure, they're volunteers, they're boards, their staff, and they just tend to do the same thing over and over again. And it takes someone a lot of times outside to come in and say, hey, why are we doing it this way?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Why are we doing it this way? Have you ever heard the story of the turkey legs and the turkey in the oven and the newlyweds?
I don't think so.
There's a few variations of the story, and let me see if I can speed run it. So there's variations, so don't write me if it's not the right one. Give me a break. But you might want to use this in your book. There's a newlywed couple. They get married, and they have their first Thanksgiving together. She takes the turkey, and he's watching her there in the kitchen. She tears off the legs and throws them in the garbage and cooks the turkey. And he's like, what did you just do? Because that's my favorite part. And she goes, I don't know. That's the way my mom always did it. And he goes, we need to call your mom and find out what what's going on. Like I say, with a callback joke, what's going on around here? Anyway, so her mom goes, I don't know. My grandmother, my mother, your grandmother always did it this way. And they go, we should probably find out. So they call her, and she goes, I don't know. My mother, your great grandmother, always did it this way. And so for 4 generations, they'd been just doing what mother, grandmother, great grandmother had been teaching them to do, to put the turkey in the oven and cook it for Thanksgiving. And so they go, let's call up great grandmother. Great grandmother's still 100 years old. She's still alive there in West Virginia. And they call her up and they go, hey, why did you always, cook the turkey that way? And she goes, in the old days, we had these tiny ovens that were just, they were just barely coming out of the ovens, and they were just these little things. So you couldn't cook the legs with the turkey because it was too big, and you couldn't refrigerate the legs because we didn't have refrigerators back then. So you'd have to throw them out because they go bad. You cook the turkey.
Interesting story. I was guessing a white meat, dark meat thing, but that's a better story.
Yeah, that's a whole nother show. Anyway, perfect example of no one questioning why do we do things the way we do until someone finally did and found out that the answer, blah, blah, blah. That's a perfect example. I love that example. So if you want, shove that in your book. I think there's a few variations of it on the internet.
Yeah. For my first job in my career, I really saw how asking the right questions can change things. I was on the road. I was on the road training for this job, and I was being told people should do X, Y, and Z. But I couldn't find it anywhere in writing, like no manuals, no nothing. So I went back and said, where is this located? And I was told in the back of this manual for if you go to conference. I was like, what if I leave my book at conference? Will I ever see it again? No. If I don't go to conference, will I ever see it? Probably not. I'm like, and this was the lifeblood of this organization. Everything people were supposed to do was in this document that was buried in the back. I said, can I bring this to the forefront and start getting this out? And they said, yeah. And in 6 years, we had 20% increase in growth in membership, 500% increase in programming, all because I brought this document that was stuck in the back of a manual and brought it to the forefront, because no one ever thought to say, hey, if this is what we want people to do, let's tell them.
Oh, we got to tell them?
Yeah.
What kind of hocus pocus stuff is this? We have to tell people
Yeah, you at least got to lead them to the water, before you can think they'll drink.
Yeah. Feed them salt. That makes sure that they drink.
Yeah.
Anyway, a trick I learned with horses. Anyway, don't do that, people. So tell us a little bit about your upbringing. What shaped you? What got you down these roads and into these businesses? What were some of the proponents that helped you with your journey?
Sure. So it's a little interesting. I was born in the Midwest, Baptist families, very conservative, financially, socially, everything you can think of, church Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night. Went to the same Christian high school that my mom graduated from, in a Baptist church. So very, very, traditional Midwest upbringing. But, again, kind of the curiosity in me, I began to question some things and think about things differently and how I saw them. And I really say that, my upbringing kind of really helped shape who I was and my analytical nature.
And so you got down these roads. Now you're writing books. What are some of the other things you're doing on your website?
Sure. Speaking is a big thing. What I'm doing, I'm really branching out now and doing a lot more speaking workshops, kind of from an executive coaching standpoint and staff culture standpoint, as well as keynote talks. So I actually have a couple coming up for some small organizations, nothing majorly public, but looking forward to those.
Hey, speaking, man.
Yeah.
Especially if the check clears.
Yeah.
It always leads to bigger and better things. Diddy's doing speaking right now in a very large room, very large place.
Yeah.
It's just you move up the food chain or down. I don't know. Wait, am I confused? Anyway, what's going on around here? Anyway, so it's great. You got the book coming out. Was it hard to write two books kind of at the same time, or did you do them at the same time? Probably shouldn't be assumptive there.
I mean, roughly kind of overlapped a little bit. I didn't dive too deep into the second one until I started wrapping up the first one and was waiting on edits, that sort of thing. But, they both really kind of wrote themselves. Again, I don't want to say it wasn't a long process and hard work, but these are things that I kind of leave, breathe and live every single day, and it kind of flowed out pretty quickly for me.
I've dated all my life, and I think I started dating single moms at age 28, and now I'm 56, and I'm really tired of it. No, I'm just kidding. They're wonderful. Single moms are wonderful. They're beautiful and all that stuff. But I always had to hear about the ex-husbands and, whether or not they get along and yada, yada, yada. And it was always, it's always an interesting process depending upon who they mated with and stuff. In fact, sometimes if they have too many baby daddies that are problematic people, they just really ruin the relationship. You have to bag that. So how did you navigate this? Did you guys first have a hard time getting along? Did you always get along? Did you have an amicable divorce? Give us the deets.
Sure. We met in our late 20s. We both had done a lot of dating, thought we knew exactly what we wanted out of life, and fell in love and agreed to get married. But one of the mistakes we made is not living together until after we were engaged. Very, very honest about that. And, you convince yourself it's learning curves, it's growing pains, it'll get better. We spent 4 to 6 years of marriage and counseling. And the crazy part is through counseling, we learned to coexist. So we thought we were ready for a kid. But all those problems came back with a vengeance once it was about a kid and not about a house and chores. So it was not the easiest divorce. We did agree to divorce in therapy, but there was a lot of animosity and heartache. But when it came to our son, we both agreed from the start, we're gonna do this different. We're gonna be curious about how we can do this differently, and from how we saw things how I was raised in a divorced family, how we saw that in society.
It's so important to the family unit. It's so important to kids. I mean, it's tragic enough and hard enough for them because they take on the blame of the failure of the relationship. They personalize it. Children do. And so it's really important to try and have a mature process to these things. I think there should be a law passed on it, actually, in my opinion, but what do I know? But yeah, it's so hard, and people can be really vicious, right? Mm-hmm. And I've seen some of the worst of it, really, over the years, where people are withholding kids from one another, and fighting over just the stupidest stuff and involving their kids and stuff, and you're just like, do you realize how much this spills over into your child? Do you do you really understand it? So I'm glad you're writing a book on giving advice on how people can navigate this better and kind of cool their emotions, you know.
Yeah, the subtitle, is it's not about you, right? It's about the kids. It's about the collective. It's not about selling scores or getting back or control. And here's a little quick, note about our relationship is I am remarried, and my ex-wife, her partner, her parents, and her uncles were at our wedding.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a good sign.
Yeah.
That's a good sign. That or they just wanted the free food.
That's true. The booze. Yeah.
I crash a lot of weddings just for the free food. And
yeah.
And then, I don't know. It's like Wedding Crashers, the movie, only not. It's cool.
I mean, it's like a college party for adults.
Kind of.
With the food, yeah.
I don't know. I got to go to more. Nobody invites me to their weddings. Mainly because I'm the bad single guy who's the awful influence who has all the models that he's dating. And as soon as one of my guy friends meets a girl, we're getting married. You're not hanging out with him anymore. So I never get invited to weddings, ever. Like, seriously, I don't. No one invites me to their weddings. Because the other thing, too, is they know I'll be the guy. Was it the movie Wedding Crashers or Old School? I'll be the guy who's standing there at the altar going, "Don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, run. I'll cover you, run." I forget the name of the actor in that movie. But, they know that I would be the guy, when they say, "Anyone in here object to this Bob and Sue getting married?" And I'm like, "Yeah, me." And well, what is the problem? I need somebody to wingman me for the models. We're going to Vegas next week. Can we put this off till next week, this wedding thing?
Do you get invited to the bachelor party?
No, I don't get invited. I'm usually cut out way ahead of time. Usually they meet the girl, and within about 3 months, it's, "Hey, Chris," she says, "we can't hang out anymore." And then I'm like, "Okay, dude, all right, have fun with that. Call me when your bank account's empty and you're living in a cardboard box," which that's when they call me. "Hey, Chris, you want to be friends again? How's it going with the lava lamp in your mom's basement and that cardboard couch mattress you set up?" "Well, it's going good." "How much did you lose?" $1 million or $2 million. "All right. I told you not to do that, right?" "Yeah." "All right. Just so we're clear." Let's move on to your... So I'm glad you're writing this book because people need this book. Damn it, that's basically what I'm saying. Curiosity. I seriously think you need to be on the cover of this book. I wouldn't go too cheesy, but I do a leotard, whatever cape thing, Superman look. Maybe you want to, if you really want to go. Maybe this might be too far. You're ripping up your shirt and people can see the C carved into your hair. That might gag the chicks. I don't know. That might not be good.
So it's got the business, got the button down, but then the superhero underneath, kind of like party, business in the front, party in the back type mentality.
Yeah, you could put the C in a butt cheek hair cutout, but I don't think that's going to sell well for you if you want business clients. So there's that.
Might turn people off, yeah.
But no, you hit the nail on the head. Asking the quality of your life is based upon asking good questions. And I remember I used to always ask our staff questions. How can we do this better? How can we improve? What am I not seeing? That used to be one of my favorite questions. What are we not seeing? I would design some sort of new sort of innovation or some sort of new process from A to B or A to Z, whatever, in the flow through of the business. And I'd be like, "Okay, what's wrong with this model?" "I don't know. It looks pretty good to us." No, like seriously. What is wrong with it? Let's look at it hard. Let's, because everyone, they give you the yes man thing is when you're the boss. They're like, "Oh, it's your idea. It must be brilliant, And I'm like, I learned a long time ago, I'm not the purveyor of all the greatest ideas in the world. I've got the bank account to prove it. And so I love what you're on to there. And sometimes asking the hard questions makes all the difference.
Yeah, 100%. And you mentioned there about your staff, not giving you their thoughts is, there's something I've been saying for a while. I've learned that Simon Sinek is also using the phrase, so I guess I got to give him credit for it. But it's leaders speak last. Uh-huh. If you want your staff's true opinion, don't give yours first. You've just skewed everything that they may have that might be valuable to you and your organization for a different perspective. You've just thrown that out the window unless you just really have this type A challenge the boss type staff. You've lost their true opinion.
I've done that. That mode before, but nowadays, when I do surveys or I question people, I try not to put what I call my thumb on the scale. Mm-hmm. So I try not to give, like you say, my opinion first, because then everyone coalesce around it and be like, "Don't challenge his ideas." No, and so I like the wild card of what comes when I don't put my thumb on the scale. And so you tend to get more honest answers by making yours last. And then I usually use it like McLaughlin or whatever that political show was back in the day, where when they get done doing the round table, I go, "You're all wrong. This is the truth." Wasn't it McLaughlin? Wasn't that?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Mark it out and tell everybody they're fucking wrong. After they all gave their opinions on NPR or something, it was public radio. So yeah, what else do we need to know about your two books? What do you want to tease out some more that we haven't touched on?
Sure. So, what I'm about, helping organizations improve their operations, right? That's everything from your organizational identity and your decision-making process to what you do on a daily basis and whether or not that's driving the results you're intending. And then, we kind of been talking about the softer side of this, the culture, getting the ideas from your staff, innovation, and just, my co-parenting book and co-parenting, we were intentional, right, about creating that type of relationship in the co-parenting. Creating a curious culture and creating an innovative culture absolutely has to be intentional as well. Cultures will form whether or not you're intentional or not, but if you want to create something intentional, you got to be intentional with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You've got to have intentional stuff. Do we want to talk about this company, Lateral Solutions, at all? Do we want to plug in?
Yeah. So it's been around. Yeah, it's been around for about 6 years. Again, I when I launched it, I launched operations. So basically, where an incorporating attorney steps off, I step in. Accounting, finance, HR, insurance, bank accounts, everything you need to launch an operating business is where I'd step in, and I'd stay on as a fractional COO. And I've really kind of helped turn around a lot of organizations, both, as a full-time employee and consultant. And I started thinking about, what can I do to help turn around these organizations quicker when they need some change and need some growth. And that's when I came up with some tools and some practices to really dive into operations, learn about the operations in a quick way so you can create some strategic growth plans from that.
So Lateral, what was it again?
Lateral Solutions.
Lateral Solutions.
And I got a funny story where that name came from. Have you seen the movie The Upside?
Yeah, I think so.
So Bryan Cranston's character in that talks about his company was lateral. His book was lateral thinking, right? Thinking of creative ways to solve problems and doing things differently. So I kind of adopted that and called it Lateral Solutions.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Thinking laterally, like Tom Brady or something. I don't know. Does he throw laterals? I don't know.
Yeah. Sometimes.
Yeah, I'm the, it's an interesting aspect of learning to think differently. And it used to just drive me mental. In fact, when I go into companies, I'll be like, why do you guys do it this way? This is really stupid in what you do. Have you ever sat down and thought about it? And a lot of people don't. They're just like, I don't know, the person before me told me this is how they did it. And the person before me told me this, just like the turkey story, right?
Yeah.
And so that can make all the difference when it comes to innovating, because you constantly have to be growing as a business. You constantly have to be innovating. You've got to constantly be looking what's coming at you on the horizon. Mm-hmm. It really, makes all the difference. And, asking the hard questions, getting learning organization. I really like Peter Senge's book. I've talked about this ad nauseum on the show. I like to torture my audience. The Fifth Discipline, his book that he put out, and then the workbook thereafter is just amazing. And, he talked about creating what you mentioned earlier, that culture of learning where people ask questions. They think through stuff rather than just going, I don't know. They taught me to do this and I do it and I don't ask questions. Yeah. And having a culture in an organization where people think about stuff and what they're doing, and does it really impact the bottom line? Does it fulfill the mission of the organization? Any of your thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a couple of thoughts, right? Again, thinking about how we do things traditionally in the wrong way. We've all sat in meetings before, right? And the CEO asks for feedback, whatever. And who's the person that speaks and everyone just cringes? They're like, why the hell are you speaking? The new person, because you've been here for 2 minutes. What the hell do you have to contribute to this conversation? The actual answer is a lot, because they're not bogged down the habits, their traditions, everything else that goes along with, just doing the same old thing. They're the ones that are coming in, giving fresh insights, fresh views, and can truly help move the needle in growing and changing because they have the freshest eye.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. If you're in the CEO ivory tower, you can be out of tune. A lot of great CEOs that I see, they walk the front line, they get out amongst the peoples, and they get on they talk to people and ask questions. What do you need help with? What's working? What's not working? What do we need to do better? And those are really important, instead of just going around and, like I used to do, and just get on your soapbox and bark at people. They go around and they ask questions, and they're listeners. I was a big listener in my organization when I'd walk through it. I'd listen to stuff. I'd stand there and just listen to what my employees were doing, conversations they were having, whether it was on the phone with clients or just wandering around. Sometimes they'd hang out in the bathroom, even though it was a female's bathroom. No, I didn't. I didn't do any of that. Stop it. It's a joke, people. Don't write me. But no, I'd listen. And it was funny how, my business partner would be like, God, you're in touch with everything that goes on here. Like, sometimes you even know the numbers, and you don't know the numbers till they come in at the end of the month. I'm like, yeah, because I listen a lot. And that's really important. And I think giving people the opportunity to feel like they contribute with questions and have input, and that you're listening to them, I think that makes a difference in their experience as well as employees.
Yeah, it's also goes hand in hand with psychological safety. Google did a study called Project Aristotle, where they're trying to find out what it is that made teams the best. They thought it was going to be all kinds of things. What it ended up being is psychological safety. This notion that you get to know your staff to where they feel open and safe to contribute is how you're going to get that feedback. And like you said, walk around listening, get to know your staff is vitally important to making them feel safe. It also allows you to get to know what makes them tick, what makes them excited to get up in the morning, what makes them excited to come back to work. I talk about this a lot when I'm dealing with generational issues, right? When we talk about older generation always saying the younger generation is entitled. They don't want to do the work. They only want to do what they want to do. I want a team that's doing 90% of what they want to do. Not 10% what they want to do, because they're going to have fewer mistakes, be more energized, be more productive, and be happier at work for all of us.
Yeah. And you want that. You want them to be happy.
Yeah.
You want to be involved in everything else. What else have we talked about that's coming out in your books and all the other things that are in between there?
Yeah. So another book that's kind of on the horizon, which kind of ties to the curiosity aspect, is the DIY dilemma. And this notion that, as leaders and entrepreneurs, we got to feel like we do everything ourselves. And we've almost kind of created this environment in our culture and society where, we wear sacrifice and everything as a badge of honor. We have to torture ourselves to be successful. Again, whether you're talking about the single parent and who feels they're doing everything on their own, or the business owner, entrepreneur, is this notion that, we have to go through this series of sacrifice and torment in order to be good at something and be great at something, where if we just kind of learn to work together collectively and open things up and accept advice and help, that we'd get a lot more done. Oh
yeah. I mean, if you're roadblocking, advice and help, and you're like, I don't know, you're just putting a crux in everything and slowing everything down. And, if people feel that they're onboarded, then, they feel like they have input. They're part of the team, and that can make all the difference in the world. So this has been really insightful. I'm excited to see your books come out, and I love the curiosity thing. Of course, we've already sold you on the cape and everything, so we'll expect to see you in that Batman outfit from the 60s. Don't go with the slick satin look. Maybe I don't know. Maybe a little bit. I don't know. Hire a designer or something. All right, John. Thank you very much for coming on the show. Give us your final thoughts. Tell people how they can onboard you, how they can reach out to you, figure out how to do business with you, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, it was great talking with you as well, and I enjoyed the conversation. And a lot of this has been about being intentional in what you're doing and driving the results that you want. And curiosity cultivates change, which fuels innovation and growth. And I've lived my life by that, both personally and professionally. And if you want to get a hold of me, again, my two websites are think-lateral.com and johnbassford.com. You can go there and reach out to me through my website, and happy to have conversations. If you're looking for speakers, keynotes, whatever, I'm happy to have a conversation.
Thanks, John, for coming on the show. It's been a fun discussion.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks, John, for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1, the TikTokity. Oh, it's a crazy place on the internet. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you guys next time.